Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Live with Laura. This is going to be my first attempt at this podcast live via YouTube. So bear with me as you may see me making faces and trying to see what's what. So here goes. So I wanted to.
Hey everyone, welcome,
There we go.
welcome.
So I wanted to create a podcast relaunch. And I kept saying to myself, how should I do this? What should I do this? So, and then I said, you know what, let me just do it. And so my advice to those of you that have been wanting to create a podcast, or maybe you had a podcast that kind of went by the wayside, my advice to you is just rip off that podcast Band-Aid and just go live, because I find personally it's daunting. If I could be honest and tell you, it's daunting because you're like, well, how should I do it? And then all these thoughts kind of like start going off in your head. So I said, you know what? I have to take my own advice, which is what I teach to my Success School students, and just do it. So 3, 2, 1, go. And so I said, you know what? Let me play with some of this tech stuff here and live stream and see how that works and play with it. Because, I always say that I loved podcasting in the early days where you didn't have to share your face. You didn't have to have, be Photoshop ready, I call it, because females have it more challenging than you guys. You just finger comb your hair and you look gorgeous. Where we women have the pressures of this insane brain societal nonsense that everything has to look perfect. And I said, no, that's not for me. That's not going to be me. And if I hold to my truth, which is to be real and raw with my audience, I said, no, I just want to come as I am and not have to worry about glitterified, prettified, all of that nonsense. I said, the glitter, all of that. And I said, I'm just going to go live as is. And so that's kind of where I said, how can I do my brand the way I want to? And as a pioneer in podcasting, before podcasting was even a word, I was recording audio and posting it on my blog. And some of the biggest companies in the world found me and offered me consulting work and things like that. So the world of podcasting from that day, this is someone that hired me sight unseen to be a consultant for a very, very big, well-known company. I'll share that story another day. But that's an example of sight unseen. You didn't have these Zoom rooms where you had a virtual interview or any of that. It was literally based on this podcast that I was doing on a topic that brought me up to number one on the search engines. Because again, back in the pioneer days, it was like start a topic and talk about something that people need. And for me, it was within the entrepreneurial space. So I'm reflecting about my early days in audio recording before it was even called podcasting, and then getting into podcasting where you didn't have to show your face. You just pushed the recording button and you recorded, and that was it. Now, back then, it was a lot about editing and getting out the puffs and your voice and, all of this stuff. And it would take forever to get your podcast out there because you were constantly editing and that was obnoxious. If I could be real and honest, it was obnoxious because by the time you recorded it and then edited out all that stuff, it could delay the information that you needed to get to your people. And so I vowed, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit live and that's it. So when live video came out, we were still so used to the old marketing, the videos had to be pristine and everything had to be edited and spliced and all of that. And I said, no, this platform now is allowing us to just go live, real and raw. And so I promised my listeners going forward, no, I'm going live as I am. Many of you that are part of my success school or been part of my memberships or programs know that we've even rocked the robe where we're in a robe and my hair is in a towel. And it's just to like rip that Band-Aid off or that abruption that, just come as you are. It's the message, not the messenger. Because most of my clients, I would tease them and say, okay, sorry, folks, I'm not going to give you the answer today because, I'm not prettified and I'm not glitified. I need to be all glamified. And they would be like, no, tell us, we need to know the answer. And some of it was life dependent, like we're talking life or death statements, whether it was for their health or whether it was for their business. A lot of people put their livelihood on the line as an entrepreneur, and their livelihood was at stake. So I said, no, if I delay my information, I'm doing them a disservice. So I had to retrain my brain to just hit the button and go live. So this was what was going off in my head again today, just to do this test. This is kind of like a test podcast, just to see, some of the functionality and the behind the scenes tech. And so I'm like, all right, let me just do this as a test. So you're watching a real, raw, live, uncensored test for me to use this platform and to relaunch my Live with Laura podcast. However, this time I also will be having a secret podcast for my members only. So that area will be behind a private area for those that want to think outside the box. So that was another challenge I was facing, which was I want the audience to hear what I'm about to say that wants it. Okay. I don't want those that are going to critique or criticize or naysay or fact check my truth. Those are not my people. And those people can keep on scrolling. It's those that want information, thinking outside the box, hence why I have my Think Outside the Box shirt on today. I said, no, I need to have this area that is sacred, safe space for those that want true information, thinking outside the box, not being led from peer pressure just because everyone else is doing it this way. Doesn't it mean that that's how it needs to be done? So the secret element of my podcast isn't necessarily to keep it an actual secret. It's literally a space that will be only for those that want to think outside the box. So I realized that was the key to unlock this block I was having, because being on certain platforms was causing me to have what I call energy leaks, energy drains, where I was frustrated because I'm, going live or I'm doing this audio or video streaming, and my audience wasn't seeing the content, and it was really draining me. So I always tell my students, take the pulse of where you are in your life or your health or your business and see and measure that. Like, how does that feel? And for me, it was draining. It was literally draining the life force out of me. And I said, no, I can't keep doing this. It's like, I would have clients in my early days, and, I might be going in person to a location, and I'll use the construction industry because they're a great example of doing this. And even like, even sports, like when I would work with some of the coaches and they're like, I'll be like, well, why are you doing it this way? When I would do some business analysis and business consulting. And they'd be like, well, we've been doing this way for 50 years, or, we've been doing this way, since the beginning of time in this area. And I'm like, well, tell me this. Running into a brick wall and getting the same results isn't serving you. So why keep doing it that way if it's not working? And so I'm using those industries as examples because it's in my head, live examples that I would be on, like job sites or on like literal sports locations. And I'm like, this isn't seeing the brain. Why are they doing this way? This does not work. But yet they kept doing it over and over the same way. And I'm thinking, really? So the thinking outside the box, just because everyone's doing it this way, doesn't mean that it's the right way. So my message to you today, as I relaunch my Live with Laura podcast, is look at a situation. Maybe it's in your life, maybe it's in your health, or maybe it's in your business as an entrepreneur, and say, how can I do it different? Just because you're seeing it done this way doesn't mean it's the correct way for you. So how can you think outside the box and do you? How can you think outside the box and look at things differently? Turn on critical thinking. Turn on that area of the brain that maybe needs to be exercised more. Tap into that pineal gland in the brain and say, I've missed you. That intuition, that tapping into your inner knowing. And don't let what you're seeing outside cloud your inner knowing, because you have this navigation, this GPS, if you will, that can guide you in ways that you didn't even imagine yet. So tap into that, activate thinking outside the box, activate thinking a little differently about your current situation. Think about it. Pause, think about it. What is coming down out of your brain? Write it down. Pause this recording and just write what is coming out of your mind's eye, out of your intuition. And it may take time. Some of you, can activate easy, and you're like, you're right. If I ignore all of this outside noise, I can think clearly. Write it down. If you say to yourself, well, I get so far and then I'm on that path, but I have a gap. So think of like stepping stones. I tell my students this all the time. We're creating a success path for you. What could you do as you're walking on that path, taking steps? And then if there is a stepping stone missing, which is where your gap is, maybe it's a gap of knowledge, maybe it's a gap of understanding how something works, maybe it's a tech challenge, maybe it's a health challenge where you say, well, according to blah, 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 they say there's nothing that we can do. I always say, think outside the box. That's just what's in their toolbox. They don't have the tools that are necessary to give you another statement. I wish that they would say things like, this is out of my wheelhouse. Instead, they give the patient a statement like that, and the patient thinks there is nothing that they can do. And that's bullshit, okay? Call a spade, bullshit. And I always say, hit delete when you hear those kind of things in your mind. Oh, well, so-and-so said there's nothing I could do for my business in this space, or so-and-so said there's nothing I can do for my health, that this is my cross to bear and this is my diagnosis, right? I want you to say, delete. And I say to my students all the time, Would you serve your child bullshit on a plate for dinner? Visualize that. Just pause. Visualize that. Would you hand your child bullshit on a plate? No. So when you hear these bullshit words in your mind, I want you to say out loud, delete, 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 and come up with a positive sentence so that you're able to feed your brain positive words that will be beneficial to you. I go into more detail in my success school and different techniques that I've created. I talk about some of it in my #1 best-selling book, Healthy Business, Healthy Toolbox, where I share transformational tools for my life, my business, my health journey. I created programs as well as my Success School membership for holistic entrepreneurs, and then Success School for wellness for those wellness seekers. So there is more that you can do to really help your brain and that mind, body, spirit connection so that your subconscious mind isn't stopping you from starting based on old programming, based on all this bullshit, right? So if you start to look at it literal like that and go, wow, you're right, I would never, ever, ever serve that to my children, then say to yourself, I'm not serving this to me anymore. And I promise you, real, raw is what you'll get with me. And even these words, which are very abrupt, because you hear me say the word bullshit and you're like, oh my, but that's what it is, right? Thinking a different way helps you to go, you're right. So just that little pivot can make such a difference in your life, but also in your family's life, in your children's life, because you're actually modeling just by what you're doing. Children learn by observation. And my husband and I reflect on our years of parenting, and we're like, how did they learn that? And oh, wait, they were watching. We may not have said anything, but they were watching. And so by your children watching you, feed your brain good food, it'll teach them to do the same. So that negative self-chatter can be changed and you can help them have a better foundation. And I always say with everything that I've learned, any challenge that I faced, I said, how could this help someone else? How could this help someone? How could my challenge that I face and I find a solution or a tool that I put in my toolbox? Well, now how can I help pay that forward? So if there's something that I said today that helps you think outside the box or helps you have an aha moment or a pivot or a switch goes off or you've activated something and you say, wow, that's helping me. But then how can you say in your mind's eye, who do I know that could benefit from this information? And then share this with them. So again, my name is Laura Cole Gonzalez. I am so excited to help you on your journey, on your success path for life, for your health, for your business. As a holistic entrepreneur, it's not the most easiest journey to pick. As an entrepreneur, as a holistic entrepreneur practitioner, it's not the easiest journey, but it's the most fulfilling because you are called to this type of profession, the type of work that you do. And more people need to know about you so that more people can think outside the box for their life, for their health, for their business. What you're offering needs to be launched or relaunched out into the world. And I'm here to help you do just that. Think outside the box and have tools and resources that can help you have more people learn about you. All the while remembering you're the #1 asset of your business. If you're not well, you can't run your business. I talk about this in great lengths. I included an entire chapter on this subject in my #1 best-selling book, Healthy Business, Healthy You Toolbox, because that solopreneur is the #1 asset of their business. If you're not well, you can't run your business. So I try to always tap on your shoulder from time to time to say, remember, you need to be #1. You need to put yourself first. And most of my clients are flabbergasted. What do you mean #1? I'm not even on the list. So I'm here to tell you today, pause again and think, what can I do to fill up my cup? What can I do so that I am taking care of me? Put it in red pen on your planner, in your phone, in your calendar, wherever you have it. So when you're working with your clients or your patients, you don't cancel, right? So I want you to do the same for you. You're the most important client, the most important patient. Put that in red pen or whatever color makes it stand out so it's important. And I want you to take time to fill up your cup, to nourish you, because many of you have reported to me during sessions with me and in private conversations that you are on burnout. You know, during this global challenge, you were in the trenches. You weren't sitting home doing nothing. You weren't bored. You were working, nonstop. And I raised my hand with that one because with whether it was in the health and wellness space or whether it was in the business space, I was working with both sides of these subjects, to try to help people. And so, being an entrepreneur isn't for the faint at heart. And being in the space that you are, you didn't get a break. And this is where I keep saying to my leaders that you need time to rest, restore, and renew, because this is a long game. And so I want you to pause now. You're hearing this right now for a reason. Pause now and put you on the calendar. Make it continual so that you nourish you. I created a planner called Action Attraction Planner that goes side by side with my #1 best-selling book, Healthy Business, Healthy You Toolbox, so that people didn't just read in passive mode, they actually took action. And I want you to do that with yourself. Get out that Action Attraction Planner and put in that planner time blocks that you can pause to fill up your cup. Do things that don't cost any money or cost money, but you start to put it on your calendar so that it becomes a habit. It becomes a healthy habit where you think about, what am I going to do today to fill up my cup? What am I going to do this week, this month to fill up my cup? But don't just say it and don't implement it. Take action. Implement action attraction. And the more times you flex that muscle and feed your brain that, I am filling my cup. I am nurturing me. I am healthy and strong. I am protecting human capital. I am the #1 asset of my business. Saying things to yourself will help you retrain this area of your brain, and it'll become more top of mind. For those of you that are in my community that use essential oils, breathe it in, cup your nose and breathe it in. I'm going to do this right now as we end our session together. Breathe it in and then say that sentence, I am. And then whatever comes to your mind that will help you fill up your cup, take care of you, nourish you. Breathing in through the nose and then slowly out through the mouth. I am healthy and strong. I am taking care of me. I am nourishing me, filling up my cup. The line in my book I write is, fill your cup up first and nourish others with the overflow. So think of a teacup and a tea saucer, and you're filling up that cup until it's overflowing on the saucer. And for those of you that have been leading and in the trenches, take that saucer and pour it back into the cup and keep doing that. It's overflowing, it goes on the saucer, putting that saucer back in the cup until you feel, take that pulse and say, I feel strong again. And not just one day feeling strong, because many of you are my overgivers, my healers, and you're always giving, giving, giving. So you may fill your cup up a little bit and then you give it away. No, no, no. That's why I'm saying keep filling it up till it overflows on that saucer and pour that saucer back in the cup until you feel strong enough for the long journey. Okay. This is the time to pause and take care of you, to create this healthy habit so that you are strong and stronger for the long game. Okay. It's so important. If you don't pause now, trust me when I tell you, I am the poster girl of what not to do. And I documented in my book too, of ways that I didn't listen. And it turns out that who's going to take care of you? Who's going to pay your bills? So that's a sobering statement, right? Because some of you will sacrifice your own health and well-being for the good of others, but then when you're out, like when you're flat on your back, or when you can't function, or when you literally are dealing with a health crisis because of that sentence, you put everyone else first but you, who is going to take care of you? Who's going to pay your bills? So this is where I'm telling you, put you first. This is words that are foreign to many of you. It's not taught. Even in leadership, I'm seeing it even within my spiritual clientele. They're like, no one ever teaches us this. It's always sacrifice for the good of others. Yeah. And that's a very bad path because you end up hitting the wall. And my story about doing something over and over and over, you hit the wall. And then who's taking care of you? Where's the health plan? Where's the wellness plan for leaders? Where's the retreats? Where's the, hey, you know what? Let's give these leaders a respite. Let's give them a break. Don't wait for someone else to give you that break. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for them to say, oh yeah, you know what? You should take a break. You need to do it for yourself. You need to advocate for yourself. And I know that based on what I'm saying right now, and I get these downloads, that someone is needing to hear this. So please take action today. Seize the day. Don't wait until you're in crisis before you make that change, before you pivot, before you say, you know what, you're right. I need to put me literally top priority. So again, if this helped you in any way, please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I am live with Laura on all social media platforms. You can also send me an email at livewithlaura@gmail.com and let me know if something that I said resonated with you. Please hit the share button and share with those people that you know could benefit, and subscribe, because you'll get in the know when I go live and when I share additional things that I get a download on that I know can help you in these different areas. And if there's something specific that you wish I would talk about, please also let me know, because I'd love to hear from you. And the community is who also guides me on, you know what, this is something that's coming up over and over and over again, and I really need to talk about it. So thank you again, everybody. Have an amazing day. And I look forward to going live and